Hi everyone, in this module we're going to look at how to create learning objectives. So we have spent the first couple weeks talking in a broad context about online education, and now we're moving into the portion of the course where you are going to begin developing your own language class for online learners. So a little bit last week we looked at Quality Matters. Quality Matters, again, being the standards that are most used for online education and online course design. The first standard, the first two standards in Quality Matters are about course objectives, and they are perhaps the most important piece of that quality assessment puzzle. So we're going to spend an entire module looking at learning objectives. So this module will be 2 weeks long. You see here, as noted in our important due dates, this first portion is due on September 22nd, and then you're going to turn in the first page of the syllabus that you create on September 29th. So that's approximately 2 weeks from today, which is the 16th. So let's go down to creating learning objectives. I put in several resources here because a lot of people, even though they've taught for several years, or even some people who are new to teaching and maybe have taken methods courses, I found that a lot of students don't really understand the art of writing a measurable learning objective. So that's why we take so much time to go over this. I also want you to reflect upon the world language standards in your country. So I know that some of you may be from other countries. In the United States, by and large, we use ACTFL, the ACTFL standards, and I have attached those here. But if you are teaching in a different country right now, then I want you to focus on whatever the language standards are in that country. If there are no world language standards established in that country, then feel free to use the ACTFL guidelines or other guidelines with which you may be familiar. Also, as we're thinking about creating learning objectives, make sure you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. So I've put a quick video in here. I think it's a little more interesting than reading articles about it. So about a 5-minute video, what is Bloom's taxonomy? What are some changes that have been made to Bloom's taxonomy over the decades? And then another video about how to write measurable learning objectives. So again, the key word there being measurable. So a lot of people understand what learning objectives are, but they're not necessarily measurable objectives. And that's where Quality Matters gets very picky, as they should. Once you've gone through these resources and taken notes, I want you to engage in this discussion with your classmates. Again, one of those classmates should be your assigned partner that I gave you last week. If you don't remember who that is, go to the assignment, the course homepage, and you'll see a posting there. And then one other person in the course. So think about what your experience has been creating a course syllabi. If you're a graduate student, it might be that you've never created a course syllabus because they've always given you the course syllabi, and that's very common for graduate students or new teachers. But maybe you're someone with more experience, and you can share here what that has been. If you are someone that you've never created your own syllabus, talk about that experience. Has it been frustrating for you? Have there been things that you've noticed or you'd like to change? What questions or doubts do you have about creating a syllabus, etc.? Then I also want you to talk about your experience with Bloom's taxonomy. What you find useful about Bloom's, and then also talk about the standards, the ACTFL standards. Were you aware of those before you took that class? Had you used them? Do you find those reflected in the syllabi you use? In what context have you used national standards? And then for the fourth part of this discussion, look over the syllabi that you're currently using or that you've used in the past, and I want you to critique those. You don't have to say what course it was for, especially if it's a course that you're currently taking. But it's very possible and very common, unfortunately, that even the syllabi that we use at the university in our graduate courses and undergraduate courses many times do not have measurable or clear objectives, or those objectives don't align with the standards for that course level. So we're looking at a lot of different components here. Make sure that your post is at least 300 words, and again that you respond to someone. Okay, thank you so much.